Guys, on this video we are going to be talking about liquidity. I'm going to go over quite a lot of different things to do with liquidity and explain kind of what it is, what it does and why it's there. In the world of shares, you have somebody who's selling, you have somebody who's buying, and they have like a book where they record all of that information. So when you come along and you want to buy a share, they match you up with the person that is selling and you buy the share whatever price they're selling it at. Same if you want to sell one. You turn up and there's someone waiting to buy and you do the exchange. In the world of crypto, we don't have that. There's no buyer and seller meeting each other. You kind of have like a bucket that you chuck a load of money in and you chuck a load of tokens in, and then people can come along, and if they want to buy some tokens, they have to put some money in the bucket and take tokens out. And if they want to sell some tokens, they have to put tokens in the bucket and take money out. So in this instance, the money is BNB. So a pairing like this is bonfire and BNB. So that's the money in the bucket. These are the tokens in the bucket. The bucket is known as the liquidity, and that makes trade possible. So if you turn up with your BNB and you want to buy some bonfire and the bucket is empty because no one has added liquidity, you can't do anything. You can't just put your money in and take nothing out. So there's no liquidity and there's nothing you can do. The value of the actual token is dictated by the first time anything goes in that bucket. So if we put in one BNB and we put in one bonfire, then one bonfire will be worth one BNB. So it kind of calculates that when the very first person does it. When you deploy contracts, you get all of the tokens into your wallet. So for instance, if you'd made bonfire, you would have deployed and then you'd have every single bonfire token in your wallet, and you'd have to go and take them over to PancakeSwap.finance and you'd add those into a liquidity with some BNB. That would set the price, and then people can start buying and selling. And it's that action of putting things in that bucket that makes it available for people to buy and sell. If you've ever gone over to the ape tool in PooCoin, you see all those new tokens appearing. They appear at that moment. So the person deploys the contracts. At that point, the contract appears on BSC scan, so you can have a look at it if you want to. When they verify the contract, you'll actually be able to read it, so you've got to wait for them to do that. But then they go and take their tokens and some BNB, and they pop that into liquidity on PancakeSwap, and at that point, you can start buying. So I want to explain what happens next and the options that the developer has. They've put in their tokens, they've put in some BNB into our bucket at PancakeSwap, and they get back something called Cake LP. It's always called Cake LP. That gets added to your wallet, so you end up with loads of Cake LP. You don't know which is which. So when you get it, it's a really good idea to edit the name. So in this case, if I had added liquidity to Bonfire, when I get my Cake LP, I would change the name of it to Bonfire LP so I can recognize what it is. So we get that ticket. Now, the best way I can explain how that works, that is like if you go to a cloakroom and you give them your coat, they will give you a ticket in return. And in order to get your coat back, you've got to give them that ticket. That ticket itself has no intrinsic value. Now, the Cake LP has no intrinsic value, but you do have the power to give that ticket back and they will return your bonfire and your BNB. So that's the way that you can get what you've put into the bucket back out. Now, if you are the only person who's put anything at all in the bucket, and you've got your ticket that represents what's in that bucket, and you go and redeem it, the bucket empties. And at that point, no one can buy and sell. So that's one of the ways that people rug pull. So when you hear people saying they've pulled liquidity, they've rug pulled, that's what they've done. They've got their ticket that represents what's in the bucket, they've redeemed it, and PancakeSwap have given them back the money, the BNB, and the tokens. So what happens with those tokens is up to the dev. They can do a couple of different things. One of the things you can do is called burning them. So if you burn the token, you send it to a burn address, which is the one that's 0x0, lots and lots of zeros, and then sometimes, but not always, it has the word dead at the end, oddly capitalized. Sometimes it's just a load of zeros. So if you send your Cake LP to the burn address, then it's gone, which means that you no longer have the ticket to be able to get your bonfire, your token, and your money, your BNB out. So in our cloakroom analogy, that is like you have destroyed your ticket and now you can no longer get your coat. The coat still exists, it's still in there, but you can't have it back because they'll only give it you if you give them the ticket. So when you burn your LP, which is what a lot of people are waiting you for to do, all that means is you have destroyed the ticket that you could use to get your tokens and your money back. So that means the money and the tokens are inside that bucket forever, which is great for an investor because it means you can buy and sell. There's always something inside the bucket and the developer can't remove it. So they can't rug pull using that particular technique. Now, interestingly, PancakeSwap will give you interest on what is inside that bucket. And they do, it's only a tiny amount. I think it's like 0.3% or something really small. But this incentivizes people to add some tokens and some money into the bucket because the more that's in there, the more it eases trading. So that's kind of why it's called liquidity, I think, because it's liquid. It allows things to flow. So they want to encourage people to put money and tokens in the bucket. And then, of course, the more that's in there, the bigger amounts that people can buy and sell of that particular pair. So that's how these things work. What a dev can do with those tokens, if they just hold them in their wallet and they do nothing with them, like you've got your ticket in your hand for your coat, then you get a big red box appear over here and it will say the developer or whoever is holding 100% of the liquidity tokens unlocked. So that's what that means. That kind of means the person's got their ticket in their hand and at any time they can cash it in and get their tokens and BNB out of the bucket. So that's what that box is all about. Now, when you're a developer and you put your money and your tokens into PancakeSwap, I'll show you how you do it in just a moment, and you get that ticket back, you are holding the ticket in your wallet. So that box will always appear over here. You've probably seen it, it's bright red. It's kind of a little bit of a warning sign saying, don't buy this token because it could rug pull. That's sort of what that means. But the developer has to either burn the ticket to make it go away, or they have to lock the ticket to make it go away. Now, if I pop into the holders over here, so I'll just click on this one and we'll have a look at the holders of Bonfire. All of these people are holding tickets that they can redeem for some Bonfire tokens and some BNB out of that bucket, the liquidity bucket. So all of these people have put some of their own Bonfire tokens and some of their own BNB into the bucket to help the trade of Bonfire. It's quite a lot of people. And the reason they've done this, I am one of these people as it goes. The reason that we've all done this is because whilst it's in the bucket, it's earning interest. Now, if you plan on holding Bonfire anyway, which I do, then I think it's a much better idea to stick it in that bucket with some BNB and let it accumulate some interest. So let's have a look at how much interest I've accumulated with my, see it says here, look, Cake LP. They're all called Cake LP. It should be called Bonfire LP really. It makes things a lot less confusing. So I've got here a screenshot of when I added my BNB and my Bonfire, and I put them into the, this is how much BNB I put in, and this is how much Bonfire I put in, and in exchange for that, I got some tokens, which are Cake LP. I renamed them because otherwise I'd have no idea where they were, but they are, you can see Cake LP. I'm not sure that one was from, but somewhere down here you will see I've probably got Bonfire LP, because I will have renamed it. See, there's my Boom LP, which I've done a similar thing on. This is my Bonfire LP right here. So I've got that much of it. So if I click on it, you can't see the rest of the name. It's not going to show us, which is unfortunate. But that's my Bonfire LP. So if I go over to PancakeSwap, you used to be able to click on the V1 or V2 trade buttons and PancakeSwap would open. That doesn't happen anymore, so you've got to go there manually. So I'm just going to go there at this address by typing in PancakeSwap.finance, which is their address. And I'm going to have a look at my liquidity. So what I've got in the bucket that eases the trade of Bonfire. So I've got to click on trade and I've got to go to liquidity. Now it will show me down here my liquidity pairs, but I don't know why. You have to keep adding them over and over again, and it keeps forgetting that I've got them, even though my wallet is connected. So I need to import it. So to import it, oh, there we go, it's just appeared. There's my Bonfire liquidity, so I can click on it and we can see how much I've got. So if I removed it now, like so, the maximum amount would give me 0.12 BNB. I think I put in 0.109, so let's get both of them up. I put in 0.109, and that was on the 18th of May. It's now the 26th of May, so it's been there a while, but it's accumulated a little bit of interest, as you can see. And also, I'd get this amount of Bonfire tokens, where I actually put in, if you ignore all the silly decimals, 186. So that's gone up to 209. So you can see that I am getting extra tokens. And that's probably just from the redistribution, but I'm also accumulating a little bit of BNB as well, because you get interest from PancakeSwap. So I want to hold Bonfire. So I'm choosing, instead of just leaving it in my wallet gathering dust and also some redistribution, I've put it together with a bit of BNB. I've put it in that bucket to ease trading for other people. And if I ever want to get it back, I will have made a little bit of interest. So I have seen quite a lot of people do this. It's a good thing to do. So I now own some Bonfire liquidity tokens called Cake LP. Now let's pretend that this is a token that I made, and I am the only person that owns these Cake LP tokens. So I own 100% of the liquidity pool. That means in order for people to buy and sell comfortably without being worried that I'm going to rug pull, they would want me to do one of two things. Now, we've talked about one of them already, which is for me to burn my liquidity, which is essentially just setting fire to my little ticket so I can't redeem it. If I did that now, if I went to my MetaMask, I found my LP tokens for Bonfire, which are somewhere down here. There it is. It wasn't the other one, it was this. Look, I own 0.003 LP Bonfire tokens. So if I sent that like this to the burn address, which I've got here in my favorites because I use it quite often, if I send it to there, that means I've burned my ticket. So I can't redeem it. So it's gone. That's it. So it means I would lose 0.124, etc. BNB and all of this Bonfire. That'd be gone. There's no way I can get that back. Now, when you are a developer and you launch a token, you add some of the tokens in to create the liquidity, and you put some BNB in. Now, when we added liquidity on NWC, we added a lot of tokens and we added 10 BNB. We tried to do what I'm going to show you next, which is locking the liquidity, but it just kept failing. It just didn't work. And because it didn't work and we had people waiting for us to either lock or burn the liquidity, our only option was to burn it. So the next thing we did is we got that token, the Cake LP, that represented NWC coin, and in here we sent it to the burn address. So yeah, that's exactly what happened with the launch of NWC. Some people do burn them anyway. It's not really an easy thing to do to burn 10 BNB of liquidity, because it's worth a lot of money, and once it's gone, it's gone. But you need to bear in mind that moving forward, if nobody else adds liquidity and yours is the only liquidity in there, you can't ever take it out, because the moment you take it out, no one can buy and sell. So you would kind of be rug pulling. So you just might as well burn it. But you can do another thing, which is locking it. So I'm going to go over to a locker and we'll have a look how that works. So I have a couple of lockers. The most common one that people use is this one, DX Sale. I don't use it because I think it's too expensive. But this is the most common one that people use. And if you connect your wallet to this, then you can have a look at the current lock tokens. I think this was down the other day. It might still be down, but never mind, so we do have another one. I'll show you the other one, and this one works in just the same way. So I think their website's having a lot of problems. It was down the other day as well. So the other one I use is this one. So I have locked my Gen tokens in here. So you'd come over to here, you'd go on create a new lock, and what you put in here is your cake tokens. So for instance, those tokens that I have, my bonfire ones, let's say if I wanted to put those in, I'd need to get the name of them. Now that's not going to be easy. So nothing's loading at the minute, as you can see. Terrible. Okay, let's try and find, yeah, we know you've got problems loading things. Just show it, there it is. So let's have a look at this. I want to get the name of this, which is not an easy thing to do. I don't know if we can get it in here. No, we can't. So to get the name of that token, I'm going to go over to the bonfire. I'm going to click, I'm in version 2 liquidity, but I think they both would be called the same. I'm going to click on the holders, and that will open up the holders of the liquidity tokens. Now I know that this in the address bar up here is the actual address of that liquidity token. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, and I'm going to go back over to the lock. I'm going to paste it in like so. And if I press on continue, it's going to recognize that that's bonfire and WBNB. So if I lock it, I can then choose how long I want to lock it for. So I can set the amount I want to lock. So I might say I want to lock all of it, and I can set how long I want to lock it for. So I can say days, months, or a timestamp. Now, if I put in a timestamp, this is the number of seconds that have passed since the 1st of January 1970. So I can check what that is now. It's called a Unix timestamp. So if I just go over to Unix timestamp, here it is. This is the current time based on that number. So I could take this current time, add 120 to it, paste that into the locker, and I would be locking my tokens for 120 seconds. So in 2 minutes, they would unlock. Now this is really important because 2 minutes is not a very long time. So when you're buying a token and they say we've locked the LP, what they've done is they've come to a website like this one, and they've got that ticket that represents whatever's in the bucket that belongs to them, that could be all of it, and they've gone and locked it. But if it's only locked for 2 minutes, and you buy the token, and then it unlocks after 2 minutes, and they redeem their ticket and take that token and BNB out, that's a rug pull, and you've lost your money. So you want to make sure it's locked for a long time. So hopefully a few months or even longer. So they can put in whatever they want to put in, and then they get to choose how much they pay for it. So they can pay 1 BNB in order to lock the tokens, or they can pay 0.5% of the locked tokens. Now, when you first put it in, that might not be much, but after the lock is finished, this one could end up being quite expensive, but it's quite a small initial fee. So this is one of my locks. This expires in 12 months, 4 days, 1 hour and 3 minutes. When that expires, I'll be able to remove this. And what is in there is a ticket that represents Gen token and BNB. And I can take that ticket to PancakeSwap, and I can redeem it for the BNB and the Gen token that I added to that bucket in PancakeSwap so that people could buy and sell. If I did that and there was no one else that had liquidity, nobody would be able to buy and sell, and I would have essentially rug pulled my own token. So at the moment, my liquidity is worth $5,329. So that you would see, if we went over to Gen, you'd see it here, look, 5,378. So they're a little bit out of date, but that is the money that I've added. Well, I've probably got some other holders. Let's have a look, see if anyone else is holding. So there are 4 addresses. They're the ones that I'm holding in the locker. This little symbol here is showing that those are locked. But just seeing that symbol isn't enough protection for you. You've got to go and find out how long they're locked for. So if you're in a Telegram group and they say, we've locked liquidity, say, can I have the lock address? And then you can go and check it. So that is the ones I own, which is about 50%. This here, I don't know how this happened. I put them into the locker and I locked it. And then I realised I'd still got some left in my wallet, and I meant to lock all of them. So I have no idea how that mistake happened, but what I then did is I burned some of them as well. I do have automatic liquidity going into here, but that's going into a burn address. So every time there's a transaction, a little bit of that transaction goes into the bucket, but the ticket to get that out of the bucket is automatically burned. So when people say we automatically add liquidity and burn it, what they mean is they get a pairing of their token, BNB, and they put that into the bucket to ease further trading, and PancakeSwap automatically give a ticket out for that, but that ticket is automatically sent to the burn address. So stuff goes in, but you can't get it back out because your ticket's gone. It's a bit like putting your coat into the cloakroom, and then instead of the man in the cloakroom desk giving you the ticket, he just burns it, he throws it away, so your coat has gone. This address here, right, this person's making millions and millions and millions, and what they do, they have a piece of computer code that automatically buys some tokens and adds liquidity for that token, and they make interest on it, and then they remove it later. And I don't think you'll probably be able to find any token that's been released that hasn't got this address on the liquidity. So that's what that person is doing. And if you looked at their wallet, they are making a fortune. They really are. Now, this particular thing is fine. What they've done to my token, I've done to Bonfire. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually beneficial to the token. But this wallet is also doing other stuff as well. I'm not sure how dodgy or genuine it is, but obviously they're using sophisticated bots and computer code to do various things to make a lot of money. This is just one of them. So when you see that address as one of the liquidity holders, that is just someone who has bought some tokens, added some BNB to those tokens and popped those in the bucket, and they're making interest. And they've probably, I would say they've definitely got a little bit of computer code that does that for them automatically. They're not doing it themselves. They're on every single token pretty much straight after it launches. So that's what happens with liquidity. Let's get back over to that lock. So if I click on this, it's going to open up big and it will give you more information. It'll tell you the percentage that I own of the total lock, the total liquidity. So about half of it is in this locker. So if I release this and got my token, which I can't do for just over a year, but in a year's time, if I get my ticket from here and I go and redeem it at PancakeSwap, I could really remove 50% of the liquidity that's in PancakeSwap. And that's going to reduce the amount of flexibility for buys and sells. There's going to be less tokens, less BNB in that bucket. So when someone comes along and they want to buy some tokens, the amount they can buy has been reduced. And if they want to sell some tokens, the amount they can sell has been reduced because they need to take BNB back out of the bucket and there might not be enough in there. So if I removed half of it, that would happen. If I removed all of it, the bucket would be empty and no one could buy or sell at all. So what I did after I deployed this contract is I took this address, the entire thing, and I shared this with my community in Telegram. They clicked on the link, they came over to here, and they could very clearly see that I had locked the tokens and they were locked for 12 months, 4 days, and 58 minutes remaining. So they could then go and buy my token, knowing that I'm not going to do a rug pull at least for a year if I did one at all. So it gives people that are investing a little bit of peace of mind. Now, when this unlocks, if my liquidity amount is maybe down here somewhere, maybe 5 or 10% of the total liquidity because other people have added liquidity, then I might withdraw it and I might use that money for marketing or something like that. So you can withdraw it without affecting without essentially doing a rug pull if it's a small percentage. I imagine the guys at Bonfire, when they look at their locker, if they did lock it, I imagine that theirs is quite low because loads of people have also put liquidity into Bonfire in order to generate a bit of interest through PancakeSwap. So that's kind of how all of this stuff works. If we say we're going to burn the liquidity, the tokens and the BNB that they have added to liquidity, which is essentially a bucket full of tokens and money, that doesn't get touched at all. But they can't take it back out. The ticket they get that enables them to take that back out is what they're destroying. And that is always called Cake LP until you change the name of it. If they lock it, then all that happens is they cannot redeem their ticket until the lock expires. That's all that's going on. So that's the way you can see how you're protected. So obviously, if you're on the ape tool and you're looking through this, which is what a lot of people do. I love it in here. I've not been in here for quite a while, but I used to spend a lot of time in here. Look at this. Big adverts for No War Coin. Oh, no, it's an advert for 2.0. So they've already got adverts up for number 2 tomorrow. So it's relaunching tomorrow, which means you'll get your airdrops from the first one if you were in that. We did pause it and we got rid of all the bots in there, and we've took a snapshot of everyone's tokens. So they're already working very hard on the relaunch and putting adverts up. Nice to see. Well done, guys. So when you're in here, bear in mind that this one here is 1 minute old. So if I click on the BNB liquidity pool holders, you'll probably see that at the moment it's 0 and 0, but that would update. There's always a little bit that's been burned, and then this, in a few seconds, this will probably change to almost 100%, and this will be negligible. So we'll just ignore that one and go one a little bit more established. So this is what they normally look like. A very tiny amount here. I don't know why that is, we just consider it dust. And then this is the 100% of the liquidity token. So this is their ticket. That's the address of their Cake LP ticket that they received when they added whatever their token is and some money in BNB into that bucket. So this is the ticket they got back. And this is how many of those tickets they have. It's that many, and there's some decimals. And they are currently holding all of that in their wallet. So if we go over to the chart, I think that one was a bit further down because they've moved, haven't they? Was it this one? That one will do. It's exactly the same if it weren't the same one. So if we went over to the chart, depending on what the developer is doing, it might say a big red box saying all of the liquidity is held. Now, I don't know exactly when PooCoin decides that. So sometimes the box appears here, sometimes it doesn't. But you need to imagine that right now, that dev, a real person having to do this manually, is either in their MetaMask wallet, sending their tokens like this to a burn address, like, you know, the 0x000 and then the word dead, which in most cases is like that, but with a lot more zeros. Oops, I was holding down shift. When I get the right amount of zeros, it will probably change. I don't know. You have to have the right amount of zeros. I think I've gone too many. So they're either sending it to a burn address. I doubt they will be, but they could be. Or they're at a locker like this one, and they've created a new locker. So we'll go over to the main page, go into the lockers, and they're putting the address in here of their Cake LP, which they've just got. So they address the ticket, and then they're choosing how long to lock it for. So they're actions that they're doing right now. Now, when you go into here and you try and lock, really often it just fails over and over and over again. Sometimes you just have to lock a little bit at a time, but it's a very stressful time for a developer when you've got a Telegram group full of people saying he hasn't locked the liquidity, it's going to be a rug pull, and you're trying to do it, and there's a lot of things going on. Now, when I locked liquidity on one of my tokens, it wouldn't lock, and I thought I'll refresh the page. So I did a refresh, and it said, welcome to MetaMask, please enter your passphrase, which I hadn't got. I had to go and find it on a piece of paper somewhere upstairs, and I had to type in that long number. As I was typing it in, I could hear Telegram, Discord was beeping and beeping with messages, and my Telegram group was exploding with people saying they've not locked liquidity. So yeah, things can go wrong, and it's a manual process, so it can take you a while to do it. So we'll get rid of that. We don't need this Unix timestamp anymore. So that's essentially what it is. I'm going to leave this in. It is accumulating a tiny bit of interest, and it's stopping me from aping in on this token as well with this money. But we'll have a little look back in ape, and what you're looking for. We'll see if we can find one. I doubt we will, but we'll see if we can find one. So we've got to go down the page a little bit more. So they're a bit more established and something happened. So look at this, it's only just launched and there's that address again there, 0x07. You see it on almost every token. So it's just launched and they already have some liquidity in here earning interest. So if the bots jump on this token and start buying it and selling it, and there is a fee going into liquidity, this person is taking advantage of that. They make a fortune. It is a really, really good idea, but I think that wallet might also be up to some no good as well. But yeah, they definitely have an automated add liquidity to every new token thing going on. It's quite clever. So what I'm looking for, I don't think we'll find one, but I'll check a few just to see. So this one here, look, you can see that this is a wallet address. It's going to be the person that deployed the contract, and there is no contract image at the beginning of it. So this is just in a normal wallet. So that's not safe. You don't want to go in on something like that, but you've got to give them time. So we'll go on a couple more. Same thing again. We're probably going to struggle to find anything other than that, but every now and again something might pop up. So I'll do a few more. If I can't find one, I'll just jump into an established contract. That 070 doesn't jump on them all. He's on this one, look, there he is. Doesn't jump on all of them, but does jump on some of them. So here we have, to a contract is 0. So I think this person has just tried to lock them, and they've accidentally locked nothing, it would seem. To a burn is this. This is really strange. I don't know, can anyone explain what's going on here? Because this, it might not be updating. Let's just refresh this page and see if those numbers change. It did. Okay, so there was a problem there. We've refreshed the page and it's changed because it said 40% at the top and then 000. So obviously that one was had a bit of an error. Now we've got that guy again, look, everywhere. It's on every token he is. The next time he pops up, I'll show you his wallet. We'll have a look how rich this guy is. He's the only one on this one, so that's it again. Sometimes he is the only one on there and he sort of saves rug pulls because he adds liquidity on everything. And then if it's a rug pull and the person that created the contract added liquidity and then withdrew it afterwards, he ends up being the only person in there with liquidity, and then people can still buy and sell. So in that particular situation, what this guy's doing works out to be a good thing. But what this token might be, I mean, the tokens must have been added in the first place, so something must have happened. But let's have a look at this dude's address, and I'll show you how much money this guy is making. We don't want to filter it. We just want to get to the actual person's address completely. He's got 1 million in value of BNB. And if we have a look at, everyone thinks he's a scammer. All the comments saying scam, give me more money back, etc., etc., give me my money. This is a video I made about him. But if you go to the analytics, once it's loaded, you can see how much money the guy's making on a regular basis. Okay, I'm just going to refresh the page, see if it gives it a bit of a kick. That's not working either. There it goes. Oh, now it's gone. So look at his balance. So this is his highest balance of BNB, which was 2,717. Highest US dollar balance on this one is 933. I mean, you can see, well, it's maybe around about here is when this person started using this particular feature. Because look, over the past few days, he has made a fortune. So about $1 million over the past few days. I bet a lot of that come from NWC. But yeah, whatever this guy is doing is making a fortune. Whether it's dodgy or not, I cannot say. He's involved in a hell of a lot of tokens. And normally when you see people involved in a lot of tokens, there's something dodgy going on. But yeah, guy owns a lot of BNB from doing this stuff. There was something else in here that I wanted to show you about this guy's wallet. I mean, look, it's in every few seconds it's doing this stuff. KKLP. How do they do it? I have no idea. I think there's something fishy going on. I'm not sure what it is. I've dreamt about this. I have. I spent so much time trying to work out what's going on with this wallet. I've had crazy dreams about this wallet. I had a dream once that there was a bunch of Cub Scouts sitting around a fire, and they were poking the fire, and they found, burnt in the ashes, a little bit of computer code. And they took it out and they dusted it off and they put the code into the computer, and this is what happened. That is how much my brain is preoccupied with this dude's wallet. I have no idea what's going on. I'm pretty damn sure it weren't a bunch of Cub Scouts sitting around a campfire and a mysterious piece of code in the glowing embers that they saved, poked it out with a stick, doused it off with some water from their canteen, typed it into a computer, and then became millionaires. I'm pretty sure that's not what's happened. But yeah, it's something that is obviously on my mind if it's popping up in my dreams. So what we couldn't find in here, which was what I was hoping we'd find, was a token where they have burned the LP. So let's just go over to one where I know they've burned the LP. So I know No War Coin has burned the LP. So we'll look at that. It's probably got some more holders in there as well. One of these is me, because we were trying to test. That's me there. So I own a little bit because we were trying to test whether you could put it in and take it out and whether it would work. But let's just pretend that all these ones are not there. These ones in the middle, they're just normal wallets. That's mine. It's not locked. It's in my MetaMask, but it is quite a small amount. And the same thing here. I think this is, well, that one is the guy, the one we've just looked at. But these ones are probably other members of the dev team of NWC when we were trying to test things. So just ignore those. We'll ignore this guy that owns liquidity and everything. But if you looked at a token on the ape tool and almost 100% of it was sent to an address like this one, loads of zeros and sometimes the word dead at the end, sometimes not, that's the safest, because that means the ticket to get their money back out the bucket has been destroyed and they can't use it. You can, I did upload a video just a little while ago. You can look at this address and you can see how much money has been sent to it. So look at that, $48 million worth of BNB has been sent to the dead address. No one can get it back. It's gone. That's it. It's gone. But it is really interesting to think that it's accumulated that much in BNB. So that's actual BNB that's been burnt, $48 million worth. And this is how much in tokens has been burnt, which is, so thousands, millions, billions, trillions, 4,408,336. No, 4 billion. Okay, it's billions. It's not a crazy figure of 4 trillion. So there's too many numbers. Thank God there's commas. So 4,408,336,653 in value of tokens have been sent to this burn address. And there's also the one with the zeros at the end as well. And you can also check the value of that. But that's staggering, isn't it? $4.5 billion worth of tokens and $48 million worth of BNB has been destroyed. So there we go. Interesting stuff. Right, if you have any questions whatsoever about liquidity that I've not covered, then please do leave comments and I'll try and help you out with those. But I think that covers everything. I'm pretty sure. So the safest is if it's burnt. The second safest for you is if it's locked, but for a long time. And I mean, I don't know if there is a way of detecting how long it's been locked for without getting the address from the person that's locked it. I think if they locked it on DXSale and you go to DXSale and you connect your wallet, I'm pretty sure it tells you the unlock time for all of the tokens that are currently in your wallet, the CakeLP tokens for whatever you're holding. You don't have to be holding the CakeLP, like the ticket. You just have to have some of the token it represents in your wallet, and they'll tell you, they'll show you all the lockers, and you'll be able to find it, and you'll see how much time is remaining before it unlocks. Now, that's what I believe happens over there. We can't look at it because their website is down. It takes a long time for it to load as well, because it has to go through all your tokens. But I don't know whether they can tell you tokens that have been locked somewhere else. So I use Deep Lock, which is the one that we looked at, and I don't know whether tokens locked in deep lock would show on the DX sale or not when you go there. So I have no idea. Please someone comment and let me know one way or another. Is it possible to find the lock time on the CakeLP tokens for a token you hold without getting the URL directly from the dev? If that's possible, let us know how you do it. It's useful information. I don't know if it's possible, but for me personally, if I create a token and I lock the liquidity ticket, I think it's much easier to think of it as a ticket. It just says things. It's not. It makes it a lot less confusing, and it's like that cloakroom where it's a ticket to get your jacket back. That makes much more sense. It's got no intrinsic value whatsoever. You can just swap it for what you've already handed over. So yeah, if I lock my liquidity ticket, then the first thing I do is copy the lock address and I share it with people to say, I've locked it, go and have a look, it's locked for however amount of time. So in my case with Jen, it's locked for just over a year. Right, I hope you found this video informative. Liquidity is confusing. And when you make your first token, there is no guidance whatsoever on how you do any of this stuff. You just kind of have to blunder your way through. Now, when I made my very first token, my biggest question was, how do you make your token go on sale? How do you make it so people can buy it? I'd created the token and I then found that I had all of the tokens in my wallet, but I didn't know how to make it so people could go and buy the token. Now, I stumbled my way through with a bit of trial and error. I added liquidity, so I put my tokens into PancakeSwap and I put in some BNB. And when I did that, in fact, if I go over to PancakeSwap, I'll show you how to do it. So we go back to liquidity again and we say add liquidity. And all you do is you select the token that you want to add liquidity for. So let's say if I wanted to have liquidity to Jen. So if I go over to PooCoin just so I can get the address. So this is Jen's chart. So I can get the address from here of the Jen's token, not liquidity, the token. So if I pop to PancakeSwap and I say I want to add liquidity and I want to add liquidity for Jen, I pop that in. After a while it finds it. They must be in your wallet first. So if they're not in your wallet, you have to add them there. So to do that, there's a little detour. You go to your assets, you scroll down to the very bottom, you click on add token and you pop it in here. And when I do it, will say already in. So look, token already added, so I've already got them. If I hadn't added it already, it would come up with a symbol here, Jen. It would put the number of decimal places and then I'd add it. So that's how you add it to your wallet. Once you've done that, if you enter it in here, it will find it in your wallet and it will see how much you've got. So you can add them or remove them. So they're in. So we can put them in and we can enter the amount that we want to put in or we can take them out. Now in that particular case, because there's already some Gen tokens and some BNB in liquidity, that means this liquidity pair has already been created. So in this case, when I add some Gen, it tells me how much BNB I need to add. So we've told it this token, and I might say I want to add all of them. And it will say you haven't got enough BNB, because when I added the very first liquidity for Gen token and BNB, it set the price. So now every time I add some more, I've got to match that price. So I can't alter the price by adding a different quantity. I can't say I want to put in 10 Gen and 10 BNB. So 1 Gen is worth 1 BNB. I can't do that because the price has already been set. So if I added 1 Gen, we would see that 1 Gen is worth this much BNB. If I added 1 BNB, then we'd see that I need that amount of Gen to get the correct ratio to add any more of the liquidity. So if I put in all my BNB, it would take this much from my Gen, and then I can add to the supply, and I would have 0.35% of the supply. So that's how that works. The first person that's put some in sets the price. So if you want to think about the price you want your token to be, then you have to make that calculation at the beginning when you're adding your BNB and your token. So once that's happened, if it's the very first person, a thing comes up at the bottom and it calculates the price and all that stuff. But if it's already got a liquidity pair, then this happens and you just click on supply and it pops them in there, and then you get some CakeLP. And in fact, I might pop these in. I'll pop some in. I don't want to use all of that money because I need it for something. So let's just put this much money in some tokens so you can see it happen. So I'll pop some in, and this sometimes goes wrong. On some contracts, when you click on confirm supply, it doesn't actually put it in, and you have trouble getting it out as well. So I will receive, I'm going to put in, can I move this? No. I'm going to put in what I put up here, which I think was 0.001 BNB and some tokens. And I will get back 0.0921019 BNB Gen pool tokens, but they will be called Cake LP. So let's get them. And we've got to confirm. Now I've just got some Cake LP in my wallet. Oh, I shouldn't have pressed that. I wish I hadn't have done that. It just popped up a bit too quick. But now that will have gone to my wallet. Now, because I've had them before, it might be this one here. Is that the amount? Because I've had them before, it might just add them to my existing balance if I've got any left. I don't think I've got any left. So this is why it's a bit confusing, because you just end up with loads of Cake LP in your wallet. And what you have to do to find out which is which is go over to the liquidity holders, click on it, and you'll find what you've added. So that's the one I've just added there. Look, so that's my address, which is not locked. And I've got 0.0921 of the tokens. So if I go to my wallet and I look for a Cake LP that is worth that amount of money, it will be those ones. Or it could have automatically renamed them because I did rename them before. Well, I'm going to take this address. That's the Cake LP address for Gen. And I will go to add token. I'll pop it in. So it's already added, so it's in there somewhere for definite. So at least we know it's in there now. It's 0.092 is what we're looking for. That'll be here somewhere. There it is. 0.092. So I had previously renamed it Gen-LP, and now because I've added some more into my wallet, it's automatically recognized it from when I added it before, which is great. But if I'd not done that, then it would be in my wallet 0.092, and it would be like this, Cake LP, and that you just end up with loads of these having different values. So that's kind of the way, if you accidentally add it like that, that's what's going to happen. So just to show you, when you add a token, I need to buy one. Let's buy a token I don't have yet. Shall I ape in on something? I'll ape in on whatever this is. Shall I look at the chart first? This feels incredibly careless. Right, I won't. I'm just going to put 0.0001. I'm going to put a tiny little bit of whatever this stuff is. I hope it's good. I hope it's not already rug pulled. And we'll confirm that. And I'm going to take this, which is the currency, and I will now add it to my wallet like this. So it's recognized it, look. So when you add your Cake LP tokens, like the ticket that you get from PancakeSwap, this is what happens when you add it. And then you'd click on edit, and then you'd pop in here whatever the token is. So let's say it's Gen. Let's just put that there for a minute. Let's say if you had it Gen, you'd put Gen LP like that, and then you'd recognize it as what it is, as opposed to calling it just Cake LP. So let's pop those in. I've got them. Should we go and have a look at it and see what the chart is like? So let's see if I've just bought something good. Oh look, this is beautiful. So as we can see, it's already rug pulled. Never mind. So yeah, an unlocked wallet is holding 100% of these tokens, and I've just bought 4 cents worth, and I imagine that no one is making any money on this. So we'll click on the holders. It has to be V2 because it's a new token and they don't support V1 anymore. So this is where the holders would be. And you'll see that this is now that peculiar wallet that those Boy Scouts found on a bit of code in a bonfire in my dream. those are now the only people holding these tokens. So if we'd have got here 10 minutes ago, there would have been another address in here that was holding a lot more of them. There would have been more tokens and more money in the bucket. This amount would have been 0.0 something percent. There would have been another address at the top that would have been almost 100%, and that person didn't lock them, they didn't burn them, they redeemed their ticket, they took all of their tokens back out, which is why they're not here anymore, and now this bizarre wallet from this rich person with some piece of code is 100% of the liquidity holder. So the only reason that I was able to buy this token is because of this guy. If this guy had not added some of these tokens and some BNB and got liquidity, that purchase wouldn't have gone through for me because the bucket would have been empty. So even though I only put in a tiny amount of money, I needed to take some tokens out of that bucket for the sale to go through. So if this guy had not done whatever craziness this guy is doing, there's no way I could have made that transaction. So there you go. I have no idea. But yeah, look, it was a rug pull. So let's have a look at it then. Let's see what they've done. There's a couple. I was thinking they didn't take much, but there's $100 in there. I mean, 75 cents, 37, so $140, $150. They sold. This one here will be the. Let's have a look at this address. And I will. This is the address. Look, this one here. We'll copy that. We'll go back over to the token. We'll have a look at the contract code, and that contract creator. That one, was it the same address? So that's the address. I'll paste the address I've just copied. I don't think it was it? No, it wasn't the same address. So it's not the same address as the contract creator that dumped some tokens, but it might be someone who is connected to it. So it certainly could have been someone that's involved with it, but it looks like it was a rug pull anyway. So yeah, I hope this answers all of your questions on the complicated matter of liquidity, because it's very, very different from the way that shares work. But this is all automated. Which is really wonderful because it means when it's a brand new token, you've not got to wait for someone to want to buy it before you can sell it. Otherwise, it just would never move forward. I mean, we see it quite often on more established crypto and on shares. We do quite often see that there's just not sales going through. And when we look at the order book, there's a big gap between what someone's prepared to sell for and what someone's prepared to buy for. And we need somebody to, they're called market makers. If you come down and you say, I want to sell these tokens for this amount of money, it's like you've set up a stall saying, I'm going to sell. You're making a market. And if you've said, I want to buy these tokens for this amount of money, you've set up a stall where people can bring you tokens and you give them cash. So you've made a market as well. They're market makers. Now, when someone comes along in the middle and they don't care how much they pay or they don't care how much they get if they sell, this is a market trade in the world of shares. So they stumble along with their money and all they do is buy from the stall that's been set up from the seller, or if they've got some tokens, they sell from the stall that's been set up from the person that wants to buy. Now, if they happen to have enough tokens to cover the total amount that person wants to buy, it's almost like that stall is taken away and then there's another one behind it with a different price. So that's the way this works. Now, because the stall is taken away, those people that are doing those market trades are known as market takers, because when they come in with their money or tokens, they're removing from the order book, and that creates a bigger gap between the order book. Now, obviously, the people that want to buy and sell are coming in at either end at different prices all the time. If there's a big gap in the middle, that's the spread, which is the difference between what you would have to pay to buy and what you'd have to pay to sell. And when someone pops in between that gap and they buy, it moves. But what quite often happens is people will say, well, nobody wants to buy at this price, so therefore I'm going to lower my price and I will sell my tokens for less. And then the gap closes up a little bit. Now, the more volatile a share or a currency is, usually the tighter that gap is, because there are more people willing to sell at a lower price and more people willing to buy at a higher price. So the people just stumbling into the middle, there isn't such a huge gap between those two things. That's good, because if that gap is small, when you buy and then you sell, you're going to lose immediately, but not as much. So if the gap is big and you buy, whatever you've bought has got to go up in value quite a lot until you can sell it for more than the next person is willing to buy it. So that's the way it works. But because we don't have any of that in the world of crypto down here on PancakeSwap, instead we just have a bucket, and someone chucks some stuff in the bucket, you come along, you chuck some stuff in and take some other stuff out. It's as simple as that. Take care, guys. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.